think there's time after the booty call cast.
Booty call cast? The you up cast?
Yeah, the swipe right cast.
Do we need to do
the NyQuil cast.
Do we need to do shares?
FXBG Public Radio. FXBG Public Radio.
Dude. None of the opinions of this podcast are that of FXBG.
I don't know if we're going to get away with that one.
Except maybe this guy.
I'm gonna fix it, straighten our table here so it's square because the camera's not.
Who's the last person to have you on their podcast from the studio?
I don't remember.
I know that you do
Occasionally I make appearances, but I really don't remember the last time I was actually on. I mean, the Center of Infinity, but I'm on that show.
That's one of your shows. Who's the original host with you? The other guest host?
Courtney is one of my original hosts, but she was actually. Courtney and this guy Ray were the original hosts of that show. Okay. And I was there for a while, but it's tough being behind the scenes and in front of the scenes at the same time. If you want to put out a good product, you need to be listening to the voices, not speaking.
Yeah, right. True. Speaking of which.
Oh, I don't even have any of that set up. I'm trying to be in it.
No, yeah, but I can hear you.
You can hear
I just wanted to make sure the sound sounded good, Wizard.
Oh. It sounds as good as I can get it. It's hard to hear my own voice. I don't you've lived with me long enough to hear my process when I work on musical products. I listen to the same song over and over and over because it's just so hard for me to mix my own voice.
Why do you think that is? I think it's hard for a lot of people to hear their own voice. At least in the beginning, a lot of performers, people. I
think a big part of it is because it doesn't sound the way it sounded when I recorded it. So
you mean to your ear,
right. When I'm hearing the playback, it's that's not. I thought I sounded better, but it didn't.
Right. So it's almost like the difference of bathroom acoustics.
Yeah, absolutely. And a reverb covers things up nicely. But yeah, the recording process. I mean, you've seen it. You've seen it up close and personal. It's different depending on what I'm doing.
Right.
So if it's music, I have a different approach. If it's a podcast, I have a different approach. If it's something that's just audio or has audio and video, I have a different approach. If it's a handful of people versus just one person. Yeah. If it's meant to be a more intimate conversation, having a mic up and out of view.
Right. If you have a host that likes to pound his fist
right. But I mean, ever since, or if you have a 5-year-old that likes to make appearances occasionally. This is my son Luca.
When did you start FXBG? It was originally Pirate Radio.
FXBG Pirate Radio was 2012, I think, is when we established things. We had started with a singular podcast, and
Daddy?
Yes?
Before we go to bed, can we watch Ghostbusters?
Yes, we can.
I watched it with my mom before.
Oh, okay. Well,
when she lived in the country, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Are we watching the original Ghostbusters? Or
that's what he's talking about, yes.
Original Ghostbusters.
With Dan Aykroyd and
No,
Bill Murray.
I'm talking about the one where she sits in the fridge in that crazy monster thing.
Right.
That actually might be Ghostbusters too. No, that's the first Ghostbusters.
Is it? No, I think it's the second one, right?
There's only Zool. Might be the second one with Zool,
yeah. Quiet,
it's the original. Is it the one with the painting, where the guy comes out of the painting?
Be quiet, I'm on a podcast.
What? Not the one with Marshmallow Man.
And what's your favorite
one with
movie?
Marshmallow Man.
The one where he thinks about Marshmallow Man.
What's your favorite movie?
Ghostbusters.
That's okay. Is that just because that's the...
No, it's because of the Marshmallow Man.
Okay, yeah,
He's my favorite character. He just pops out walking like this. And then all of them see him.
Well, we'll watch it after we're done with this podcast. But for now, we're doing a show, so I need you to go in the other room till we're done, okay? Please and thank you. Please and thank you. I'll see you later, okay?
He's like, man, I don't think y'all are really doing a podcast. Scott lives here, I'm pretty sure.
I swear it's a real podcast.
Yeah.
I swear it's a real podcast.
He thinks we're just having a conversation.
Here.
I'm just gonna take him in the other room real quick.
You're fine. 2012 is when FXBG pirate radio was begun, and I'm assuming it was in direct contest, or they were using it as a promotional tool for the Obama second campaign. That's the only logical explanation here. And clearly they had an old wooden ship with some tattered sails, and they were somewhere in the Gulf of New Mexico with several pelicans with coconut shells is how you were sending out the original broadcast from FXBG Pirate Radio?
Well, see, we used the husks of the coconut shells, but it was really the leaves
Okay.
that did the transmitting because the shells were too small.
Okay. So what did you end up using the shells for? Is that like a microphone kind of? Or headphones? That makes more sense. You cut it in half, use it as headphones. The acoustics are probably really good.
Horsey sounds.
Horsey sounds.
Yeah,
like
and it's...
clop, clop, clop. Like,
in the industry, we call them Foley sounds, but yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, I got you.
That was it. Just horsey sounds mostly. That was what we used the coconuts for.
But you started in 2012.
So we started in 2012, and it was just a microphone and a multi-track recorder with a built-in hard drive and CD player. We recorded 4 of us or 5 of us. It was called Sky High Radio, and it was.
Were you guys?
It was myself, E.J. Edmonds, Michael Blackmore, and I can't remember who else. But it was just we just talked. We just shot the breeze for an hour and did a podcast, and that turned into 2 podcasts. And then the second podcast was like, well, could we do it live? And we started doing live shows, but that was all just audio, and we did that for a couple of years, and then. Just a couple of years, we shifted brands to FXBG Public Radio to kind of do more work with the community because pirate radio has its connotation.
Right.
But we're 100% above the book. Everything that we do is licensed. All the software I use is above board. Our radio stream, if you go to our website, the FXBGpublicradio.com, our listen link is all licensed music, and all the music when it's on autopilot was curated by Comedian Scott Wharton.
Yes, Comedian Scott Wharton with the help of DJ Tony B.
Yeah, so we established a really awesome foundation for our music that plays during our downtime, and then we've got a couple of real DJs. Real DJs? Is that a real? I don't know if there's a human people who program playlists.
Live action DJs.
Live action DJs. I don't know how to describe our.
No, we got some legitimate disc jockeys.
Yeah, who do radio shows.
How comfortable is Tabitha? I haven't seen her in a while.
She doesn't need any help anymore. She just goes into the room, does her thing, and rocks the show, and it's nice. It's nice. And honestly, she plays the kind of eclectic stuff that I'm into.
Uh-huh.
So it's not like too mainstream. I mean, there's some pop, not pop, but 70s pop.
Right.
But she plays stuff that's off the beaten path. So your musical palette is tempted. I like that.
Yeah,
I like being exposed to things that aren't my norm because
it's not like listening to your local classic rock station where they're just playing the same 50 songs on a loop.
The same, yeah, exactly.
You might hear 1 or 2 of those songs on her playlist, but you're going to hear a lot of stuff that's the B-side.
The B-side, right? The live version or something.
The live version. She does love the live version.
Absolutely, and so I like that. I like the human DJs. I don't like the autopilot when there's a human option. But when there's not a human option, rather than some algorithm programming the autopilot, there's somebody real and local that.
Yeah, because you have Goldmine, some local guys running the Tuesday night show right now, don't you?
Well, they just did this last week. I don't know if they're gonna come back and do it consistently, but we're always looking for local music to feature as often as we can. Mm-hmm. But the dedicated local music hour is from 7 to 8 Tuesday nights.
And those guys are teamed up with the studio in
Yeah,
multiple fashions. Because
they
they have
do-
a couple guys recording music.
They have a whole YouTube channel that they produce multiple shows for. And all of the shows, I think most of the shows that they produce on their channel are recorded and they're recorded here, and then they edit and put them out.
Okay. Yeah, because I know they put out clips before they put out.
And then they also use Studio B for recording some of their musical artists. Because they have, I think they have two or three engineers in their group. Producers, I'm sorry. 2 or 3 producers and engineers.
I feel like that's what you really want to do around here is play. You want more music. There's been a lot of it coming around the past couple months.
I definitely want to play with more music, but I lean more towards engineer than producer. I don't necessarily make or create music so much as I like to mix the stems together and I like the live production. I
mean, as far as having people in the studio.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to do more music.
You seem like not that you don't get joy out of doing the podcast, but I can see a different perk in you when someone's here to do.
Well, there's just more to it. The complexity of it is so much more fun to me.
Uh-huh.
So in the backstage, side of things, the fun of it for me has always been how crazy the controls are. So with a sound mixer, you're taking all these different individual sounds. You've got a kick, a snare, an overhead, or multiple overheads and multiple toms, and you're taking all that and you're melding it together to make it cohesive. This is the drum set. Maybe you submix that down to its own channel, and you've got your submix for your drums, and then you've got your guitar, your bass, your whatever else, and your vocals and so on. And you take all that and you blend it together into this stereo sound that the audience perceives between the panning and the bass, and you just feel like you're in the music, and it's
like putting together a noise puzzle.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way of describing it. And then with lights, it's because lighting is fun too, and video production. But with lights, it's almost it's like the opposite approach, where you have all these lights that are on stage, and they all have all these different capabilities of colors and brightnesses, and you take all these different fixtures and you can control them individually to create these color schemes on stage. So it's you're creating this entire environment, this total oral and visual experience that people can immerse themselves into. And you go and you watch. I know that you're a big fan of Tool. You go and you watch a Tool concert, and not only is the music mathematically impressive and phenomenal, the lighting display and the lasers and everything, and its syncopation to the sound, and it's a full immersive experience that's designed to take you outside of your body and into some emotional musical realm in your mind. I don't know.
And the only way to really do it correctly is to kind of fall in the flow with it too.
Yeah, let the music play you and stop trying to play the music.
Right.
A lot of people you can kind of I think the movie Soul that came out, the Disney, we talked about that.
Yeah,
they get it. They represent that. You just get in it. You get into the groove and you leave it all behind, and you're in the music, and it's that's it. That's what I think people in this industry are creating. That's what you're doing it for, is that moment,
that zone.
Yeah,
and they get locked in the moment.
Yeah, because
that's what it's really all about too, is living life, living in the moment.
In the moment, yeah, and you get there's so much joy out of that. What all the songs that I've worked on in my life, I don't think I've ever released a single song that I've ever recorded, really commercially. I don't think I've ever released anything I've ever recorded, but it doesn't mean I don't find value in everything I've ever spent time on working on. I have more fun working on other people's projects than my own.
And even just having people in that back room recording,
being around creative people makes me feel just happy. It's just such a. There are things being built around me, and there's just a beauty in that, in art, in the creation of art, whether it's with whatever kind of art, music, visual. It's just beautiful. It's every piece of it is beautiful. I like abstract art, and it's all on the walls. And I'm gonna pull something off the wall because it's in here. Like, this is one of my favorite pieces of art that I own.
Yeah, I like that one too.
And I've had this for years. It was a gift from a musician that, and I don't know what the hell, I don't know what side it's supposed to be. I just hang it on the wall because I just love it. And it's just a piece of art, an abstract piece of art that was given to me by an artist that used to come and record music with me, and he knew that I loved art. And so he painted me 3 pictures, and every single one of them's in here on the walls in the studio, and has always been on the wall in the studio as it's evolved over the years.
That was one of the first things that stood out to me when I first started coming over here to do podcasts with the Plank with Sean, and
they've been with me for like 8 or 9 years,
right?
A long time.
That's how I met you. You met Sean working at Mix, right?
Yeah, I was DJing at Mix, and actually I was doing more than just DJing at Mix. I was like resident there, so I did trivia, open mic, karaoke, DJ. I booked the bands, and I did sound for the bands there. It was a full undertaking, and I loved working with Mick. He was a great guy. Mick and Brenda, they were really good people, and they took good care of me. But yeah, so
that's awesome that you and Sean have had a relationship for that long.
Yeah,
that you guys have known each other that long. How long have you known Scott and Madman? Shock Monkey Radio, for those of you who don't know.
I've known Madman for probably 15 years, maybe.
Damn.
And since I moved back from college to Fredericksburg. I met him through people I worked with at a restaurant. He was good buddies with a guy, Nick, who I worked with. And we just have known each other since that time. We all used to go out and get drinks together after work, and we used to play like tabletop dice games together.
Is that Nick from Below the Deck?
No, different Nick.
Okay.
Nick Carty, who I don't think he was ever on a podcast with us, but he and I played in a band together. We were in a touring cover band called Take One for the Team. No, wait, that's wrong. Our band was called By Popular Demand. Take One for the Team was a band I was in before college. I get it mixed up sometimes. By Popular Demand was a cover band, and we played like country clubs and boys and girls clubs up and down the East Coast.
That's cool.
And that was a good time. That was but Nick was our bass player.
Okay.
Yeah, over time, lots of adventures. I've gone on lots of adventures. I was in a touring cover band. I was on a comedy tour with the Joke Slingers, Alex Moore, Brian Kearns, John O'Kane, Adam Dodd, and various other openers and acts along the way. Oh, I should mention
close to your heart because.
Yeah, I've always worked closely with comedians because my brother. This is the emotional part. Is this what you're trying to do?
No, that's not what I'm trying to do.
You tricked me.
I was actually trying to get into how or why you're so kind to me. Why you're throwing me a mitzvah.
So humor is how we deal with pain. It's the best way to deal with pain and suffering and how terrible things can be in this world. And my brother was a comedian. He was diagnosed with cancer. He had leukemia. He was diagnosed when he was 11 years old. He fought for 22 years, and he got to go when it was his time to go. And on his deathbed, he didn't spend time doing anything but comforting the people saying goodbye to him. You know, his whole goal in life was to make other people laugh through his pain. Every time he got sick, you know, the nurses would come in and be like, "Oh, you know, it's time for your shot," and he'd flip over and open his gown. The nurse would be like, "You know, you get your shots in your arm. You've always got your shots in your arm. You have to stop exposing us with the gown." Like, a young doctor would come in. My brother would be like, "Hey, Doogie, what's up?" Like, he was just a funny guy, and he made jokes to make the difficulty of what the family was going through
And despite
easier.
his own
Yeah, that's just
health issues and stuff.
It's just how he was. And when my sister got sick, she she had someone to go through it with, and I feel like they were each other's strength in the end. My sister was diagnosed with a rare brain tumor, and they gave her 14 months, and she lived 6 years. And and then in the very end, when she had a seizure, and she was in her deathbed, they gave her they didn't give her any time on her deathbed. She wasn't able to drink or eat or anything. And the average person can survive 3 days without water or something like that, and she survived for 14. She was a fighter through and through, and she always was through her whole life. You know, my brother and sister were both people that fought for what they believed in and did their best to do the right things for the right reasons. You know, and leave behind a legacy of more good than bad. And you know, everybody in life makes mistakes, and I am not somebody who has a shortage of mistakes in my past. And my brother and sister were always the first ones to forgive me, the first ones to let me know, hey, you know, tomorrow's a new day, and you know, do something right, do something good.
Right.
So I do my best to do something good, do something right, because I'm the lucky one that gets to keep breathing.
Right.
So I don't want to squander that.
Yeah. So you think it's that, like, constant dealing with suffering, you know what I mean, with your brother and sister and the condition that they were in, but seeing the way that they always dealt with it with humor.
Yeah.
And the way.
I mean, Rob and Kathleen, they're sitting at the kitchen table. My grandmother, my poor grandmother, she's sitting at the end of the table. My brother and sister are talking, and Rob's talking about how he's got a headache. And Kathleen across the table says, yeah, you know, I've got a brain surgery later on this week. And my brother, he kicks his chair and says, it's not a fucking competition. And he's just messing, like he's just being himself and making over dramatic reaction to get a rise. And my grandmother just jaw drops. Is like, because she doesn't know. She doesn't know what wasn't ready for it. And like that's just the humor. It's just the dark humor of it. Like you gotta find the humor in the darkness. You have to find the light in the darkness, or you're never gonna survive.
Right.
You'll never find your way out.
Yeah. I know you found your light when your brother passed, because right around the time your brother passed is when
Luca was born.
Ghostbuster came around.
Yeah, Luca was born in 2016, and he was born in February 2016. My sister passed in August of 2017, and my brother in January of 2018. So 5 months. 5 months between my brother and sister. So it was like the happiest moment of my life was immediately followed by the absolute saddest, and experiencing that spectrum of emotion.
Right, yeah. In such a short amount of time.
It just reset my perspective on life. And
I imagine.
Some things just aren't worth fighting about, and some things aren't worth pursuing, and there's nothing that can't be forgiven or gotten past, and like hatred is a wasted emotion. You know, it's so much easier to just disconnect from people that aren't healthy to be around than it is to spend your life hating them.
Yeah.
Because you'll dwell on that, and it'll eat you up inside just to be mad at someone that probably isn't thinking about you, probably isn't caring about you or concerned about you. And you know, it's easy. Trust me, it's easier just to forgive that person and disconnect from them, and just forgive them on your own account. Like,
I know you've watched me do that a couple times this past year, whether it be with relationships or family members.
It's so healthy for you
to
step away from that and like allow yourself to get past those things. I was a shitty big brother. I know that. And I was so lucky to hear I love you from my siblings on their deathbeds. For them to make sure before they left this world that I knew that they cared about me.
Right.
For my brother to tell me on his deathbed, you got this. Like, my brother was the one who told me when I was messing up. So on his deathbed, I'm like, selfishly, like, who's gonna tell me when I'm out of line, when I'm messing up? So you got this. To give me that, it's a gift. Nobody gets that. Nobody gets to say goodbye.
Yeah.
It's so rare.
Usually people are taken from you very suddenly. And even when they are on a premeditated deathbed or whatever you want to call it, it's, usually they're comatose or
Right. So as hard as it was to lose them, how lucky am I?
Yeah, totally.
To have lost them on those terms. And I don't believe that I ever really lost them. Like I get little, as whatever it may seem, I get little signs from the universe that their presence is still, it's still here. Their presence, I'm reminded that they existed, constantly. In a song, in a passing, in a license plate,
and an old friend.
And an old friend, in a Christmas gift.
Right.
There's beauty everywhere in the world, and I'd rather focus on that than the bad.
Yeah.
And try to get past and forgive people and get over it. As hard as that is for some people to accept as a concept, sometimes you just have to forgive people and get past your own ego and get over it and move on. Because your place in this world is not to change others. Change yourself.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, that's all you can control is how you react.
Yeah.
So, I see, not everybody here can see everything in this room, in the other room, and in the, everywhere that you have everything. But a lot of people that will watch this have probably been here too. Dude, I feel like, if anybody wants to do a podcast, you still charge $15 an hour.
Yeah, $15 an hour.
$15 an hour
for a simple shot podcast just like this.
I feel like a lot of what you don't spend on your bills, because you work 6 days a week and you're working other nights doing, karaoke and everything else for years that you've been doing this. I feel like you've put more money into this than you've gotten out of it. This isn't it's a business. You run it. It's very legitimate. You know what I mean? Everything's by the book, like you said earlier. But this isn't some, trying to profit off other people. This really seems like this is something that you do to. Why do you do it? Why do you do it if not for financial gain? You know what I mean?
Because I love it. Because it's cool. Because it's fun. Because I've got a green screen right here. Because I could take this green screen over here and I could be a floating head if I wanted to. Right in my own studio, and I can do this anytime I want to. I can sit here and I can put myself in any world I want to be in. I can take a picture and I can Photoshop myself in anywhere I want to be. I can load up my auto-tune plugin and I can sound like anybody I want to sound like, and the world is clay.
It's a playground for you and all your creative
and
friends.
if I surround myself with people that are good at molding clay, all I gotta do is show them how to use the tools. I'm not a good fisherman, but I know how to fish.
Right.
All I gotta do is find people that are good at fishing and teach them how to use a rod.
See, but that's not totally true either, because there's been plenty of times that you've told myself and other people that if you come to me with a vision and explain to me what you want, then you can make it happen. And if you can't make it happen, then you can teach me or whoever it is how to make it happen.
That's what I feel like.
You've done those things for Born in Quarantine Improv and other podcasts and people that have come here and done music and stuff.
But in those situations, I'm not I'm not creating from nothing.
Right.
Someone is giving me, all right, here are these.
I'm just telling you not to sell yourself short. You're calling all these other people sculptors, and like you're just a provider of clay. Like you know how to sculpt clay too.
I'm more like a facilitator. I'm a platform. I'm a stepping stone. I'm a tool. I'm a tool for furthering people's. Because what I like is having all the toys and being around the cool stuff and being around the green screen and the tech and I love all that stuff, and I love learning how to use new gear. So when some young guy comes along who's got passion and dreams and vision and sees in color, sees in sound and hears in color, and these type of people, are the ones that I've seen that are the most talented don't have all the crap that I have bought over the years, like the 18-year-old kid who grew up in rent controlled housing that I worked with a couple of years ago, had a phenomenal ear for music and just could make 1 million beats a day. He just didn't have a computer at his house. Or his dad used the computer. I don't remember exactly what his situation was, but he didn't have that was the issue, is he couldn't make beats because he didn't have a way to make beats. But he'd come over here and he would make beats on the software, and he made, I don't know what happened to those beats or if he ever did anything with it, but he made good stuff, and he just didn't have the tools to do it.
How long have you been here at this location?
2009.
Before I moved in last year, how many people like me have you let crash here and fostered help?
A lot of people have lived in the studio.
I know Alex Moore. Devin was the last one here before myself.
Devin the Hill Hippie, yeah. There was this guy Ray. We called him Ray Lord. He was one of the hosts of Center of Infinity.
That's who Brian Kearns said for you to call me.
Yeah, he was from Center of Infinity. Ray moved in.
Alex Moore's a comedian. Devin did podcasts. Right, he had a podcast and was on regularly on Madman's. Ray, you said Ray did a podcast as well. He was the original.
He was an engineer. He was a musician. He was a heavy metal musician, and he never had any experience with like recording or whatever. But he moved in. He bought himself a MacBook. I showed him how to use GarageBand. He started mixing his own music.
How many different creators do you think have come through here? I mean, I know I've seen a lot just in this past year. I've seen a lot of people multiple times, but I've also seen a lot of different people throughout that time.
A lot of people have come through, and a lot of times, most of the people that come through, and this is like I said, one of the reasons that I love it. Most of the people come through, learn enough to get themselves going, and then go on and do something with it. And I love that. The people that I've worked with, I can reach out to every single one of them, and they're doing something fulfilling with their lives.
It's a launch pad. It's not like excuse the analogy, but it's not like the church where we want you to come back every Sunday and keep giving to the collection plate. I want you to take enough in so that you don't have to keep coming back to church.
Right. I want you to spread this and this mentality and the way that we approach our projects here and the way that we approach each other here. Like that mentality, if you take it and adopt it and stick around for a while and use it through life, you'll harbor less resentment when people do you wrong. You'll forgive people faster. You'll get over shit faster. You'll tend to be a little bit more successful in your own measures. You'll stop comparing your success to other people's success. You'll find what makes you happy and what makes you feel fulfilled. And maybe that's not $1 million. Maybe that's not a $60,000 paycheck. Maybe that's not a raise or a new iPhone, or maybe it's just human connection with other people that are like-minded, that want to spread love to each other and see the smile of someone else creating something that they're proud of.
It's the experience. I always talk about that too, even if I never get, even if I never get to a point in comedy where I really would, what the fuck ever, Joe Rogan, whoever you want to name. It's still, I had so much fun along the way. You know what I mean? I've had so much fun up to this point, and I know that, and experiences that have enriched my life. I'm rich off experiences. I say that all the time.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. Because one day you're gonna have these stories to tell, and one day someone's gonna come to you, and you're gonna be the wise and old comedian that had spent 20 years on the road, and you had done it the hard way, you'd done it the easy way, and you're gonna be the guy that's gonna be, there's gonna be shitty times, there's gonna be good times, but it's worth the ride.
Yeah.
Take the trip.
Enjoy the trip. Besides me and this, who is your favorite comedian and what is your favorite podcast?
That is a difficult question to answer. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I am my mother's son, and shout out to my mom and dad. They, with the support that they've always given me in the creative world, they never made me feel like what I was doing was a waste of time.
If anything, your dad's encouraged you to not jack your price up, but to increase your rate to not sell yourself short.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm not trying to put I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, but that's totally encouraging. Obviously, he believes in you and the product that you provide. If he's saying, "Hey, maybe you should charge $20 an hour instead of $15."
Yeah, he tells me that I undervalue my services, but it's okay. Like for now, they're good where they are.
And I don't think that you do. I think that for
what my goal is.
Yeah, for what your goal is.
Trying to be affordable.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You're purposefully trying to be affordable so that people like me who, when I first started doing the podcast here, I was living at the hotel.
Right.
Like the guy you said that, other people that we know that do podcasts here that live, that don't own their own house. You know what I mean? That
a lot of the people that
we're not luxurious folks.
A lot of the people that have passed through here it's been a symbiotic relationship. It's always they've helped around the studio. They've helped bring in new business and by having interests in different things, I've gotten into different things. And I've learned and expanded my capabilities because of other people that I've worked with that have come through over time. So that's good.
Yeah,
it's good to have
that's what I think. That's what the whole human experience is about: is embracing each other's cultures and learning from each other's experiences and points of view to, help gain a better understanding of each other and ourselves.
Yeah. But as far as my favorite podcast, I listen to a lot of true crime. I was gonna say, I'm my mother's son. I'm into a lot of true crime stuff, and that's really tough for me to get. And I love conspiracy theories. Not that I believe conspiracy theories, but I think that they're fun. Just like sci-fi and fantasy is fun, conspiracy theories is fun. Alternate worlds, alternate realities that. What if lizard people really did infiltrate the world powers, and it's just fun to think about.
Mike Willis, and I were talking about it one day because kind of before this point, we were all kind of like really gung-ho conspiracy people. At least Mike and I were. But you said something about the conspiracy that the COVID is like Epstein's kill switch button. You know what I mean?
Because he was into biohacking. He was into bioengineering.
And it was wow, I don't know if that one's true, but it's fun to think about.
Yeah, it's so extreme.
I like collecting conspiracy theories now, like comic books or
yes,
baseball
absolutely.
cards.
Have you heard about this one?
Right,
exactly. I 100% agree that. Yeah. I love that. It annoys a lot of people, but I love flat Earth theory. I love it because it's fun. It's fun to discuss because you will learn science because of the process of understanding flat Earth theory.
It's almost like a Bill Hicks joke. It's designed I'm telling you a joke, but there's an underlying truth in it or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's almost like the flat Earth is a distraction to teach you science.
For real, because one of the flat Earth arguments is about how planes fly or whatever, and I learned about altimeters and how altimeters work because of.
How does an altimeter work?
It measures pressure above sea level, and that's how it approximates feet above sea level. So it measures the pressure around the plane. So it's not measuring by distance or look, that's how far from the ground we are.
Is that a giant tape measure?
It's just based on the pressure levels, this is how high up in the atmosphere we are.
Huh.
like, okay, so like, bet that's how. So a plane really doesn't need to keep its nose up and down as long as it knows whereabouts in the atmosphere it's supposed to be and relative to the ground, based on the pressure levels. And then, meanwhile, that's some science that is cool as shit. And I never understood that, but you watch a couple of YouTube videos now, and there's a lot of stuff you can understand.
Yeah. I know that's one you've been into hardcore lately.
Well, just because a lot of the science that goes against flat Earth theory is interesting. Like the ways that you prove that there is a curvature to the Earth. Like that science is interesting. Did you know that the curvature of the Earth is something like 8 inches per mile?
No, I didn't know that.
Right.
Because I haven't done all this flat Earth research.
Right. So like,
accidentally learned science.
Right. So like after so many miles, like someone's just not visible anymore because they're beyond the curve of the Earth.
Okay.
Like that's just crazy to think about. Like, and like Joe Rogan, he talks about like the how the sun and the Earth were traveling through a universe, and it's kind of like this corkscrew whole thing, and like this is happening all the time right now, and that's just like. Holy shit! Like we are ants on a rocket ship right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And just wow.
What conspiracy theory do you think is most believable and why? And it can't be something that's been like proven, like the Gulf of Tonkin.
That a cabal controls. The governments aren't
Right.
in control and haven't been in control for a long time.
That there's some sort of shadow government.
There's
or
a shadow financial government that really controls it all. Between the currencies that are, the dollar, the euro, there's these currencies that span massive places, and now with Bitcoin, like there's these. I just feel like, and I'm not saying that I believe this. I feel like this is the most believable one, that we're going towards a single world currency that is controlled by a shadow entity.
So do you think if this is true, do you think that there's certain world leaders that are in on the gambit and others that aren't? Like, do you think that's why Kim Jong-un and certain people are so vilified, is because they're not in on the gambit? They're not willing to play ball with...
I think it's a possibility because, and we may have had this conversation before, but if Bill Gates, right, super mega billionaire, he has enough money that he could give every American citizen $1 million. But what would be the effect of doing that?
Right.
It would end poverty in America.
What's the incentive to go to work tomorrow?
Right. You would end poverty, but at what cost? Who would go to work? Who would serve the food? Who would take out the trash? The economy would be crippled because why would people work if we were all wealthy and just could buy whatever we wanted? And I feel like, and once again, not that I believe this, but why I believe this is the most believable, is that a shadow government in control of the world's finances would be very aware of that and would intentionally create disparity so that would never happen. Nobody would ever get. We need people that are the bottom tier. We need people in the middle. We need financial levels spread so that the economy works. Because short of going back to everyone earning their keep, farming the land, eating the grain that they produce, we can't. People just can't stop working. Everyone's got to contribute to gain. To some degree, or most people have to contribute so that everyone can survive.
Do you think if it is what you're, hypothesizing or alleging?
Pontificating?
Yes, pontificating. Do you think that it's as nefarious as some people think that it is, like the Eyes Wide Shut, a cult?
It's hard to...
Jeffrey Epstein, child trafficking.
I don't think people are evil so much as they're selfish. And they think they're doing the right thing because they think they've got it figured all out. Like,
the road to hell was paved with good intentions.
For real. So, like, if there are people that are in charge that are controlling the poverty levels and keeping some people below the poverty line, they don't think they're doing anything wrong. they also don't have the experience of the people that are suffering from poverty.
Right.
So I don't, like I said, I don't necessarily think it's evil's the wrong word to use. Selfish, maybe narcissistic. I don't know. Is there a word for for thinking you know what's best for other people?
I'm sure one of our ex-girlfriends probably knows. One of those girls.
Let's go to the panel.
If you did a semester of psychology at Germanna Community College and you think that you can analyze me, analyze this. All right, so let me put you halfway on the hot seat.
Okay.
What do you think about the current events and the police brutality in our country with Breonna Taylor and Derek Chauvin, George Floyd, and that now this this recent case that happened the other day?
I think that gun control in this country needs to start with the police. The objective of the police is to protect and to serve, right? And I understand that there are bad guys that have guns. And,
Totally.
and that there needs to be a stopping point for these bad guys that have guns. But your everyday run-of-the-mill cop, I don't think needs to use lethal force or needs to be carrying lethal force on him at any given time. We've got tasers, we've got shotgun beanbags, we've got rubber bullets, we've got, I don't know, we could probably develop some knockout gas. They developed a vaccine that modifies your DNA in under a year. I got a feeling.
The Johnson & Johnson one given 6 different women blood clots. One of them
that's
died.
wild.
And the CDC has advised people to stop.
They're pulling it back. I'm waiting to see what's going on there. But I'm saying, we've got this technology, developed this medical shit, like at rapid fire in a crisis. How have we not developed effective, non-lethal ways for the police to do their job?
Do you think they could make a sound pistol that how they have the big sound cannons that
gotta imagine
that would make you just puke and shit on yourself?
Some kind of concussive, something a little maybe.
And look, there would be residual damage if there's a crowd around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. With a sonic weapon, there would certainly be the risk of that.
You got to figure that the residual damage of people shitting themselves, throwing up,
getting nauseous or being disoriented is way less than
that's
a
lot
single
less
person
collateral
losing
damage.
their life.
Exactly.
And if we approach policing with the concept of that death, there are a lot of states that have done away with the death sentence, right? Mm-hmm. So if we as a nation decide, if we could as a nation decide that we don't want the death sentence to be on the table, period, then the police shouldn't be able to carry out that sentence in the field. Mm-hmm. That should be an absolute last line of defense. Lethal force should be reserved for SWAT or an escalated tier of response. A traffic stop requiring a gun just doesn't make sense to me. And I get that there's people that could be driving, carrying a gun. I get that. We have to be above them. Heroes are supposed to be better. The good guys aren't supposed to be... better if you're using the same...
At the very least, there needs to be some reformation in the way that police are trained in this country, the way that the streets are policed.
I'm a nerd, and I think of everything in terms of sci-fi. And if you pulled somebody over and you could disable their vehicle, entirely, if that's part of it, the sirens go up, you're pulled over, and once the police car is so close to your vehicle, and once that cop comes up and he puts his, because they do that, they touch your car when they walk up. Once they do that, your vehicle is all right. Well, until this traffic stop is over, you can't leave. That's.
I definitely think that's the direction we're headed with Tesla and all these self-driving cars and stuff. And they're, they have almost like sonar, radar.
Yeah, you can EMP a vehicle, so then you can't drive away from the scene of a crime.
You can literally make the vehicle pull over. You know.
And I also think, like, we have this concept in this country, like, we can't do cruel and unusual punishment, and that's a very...
Define unusual.
Right. It's a very vague thing, like, what's cruel and unusual, and, like, should the punishment fit the crime? Like, what's an appropriate response to certain types of crime?
Right.
And prison reform in this country. Like, you can't deal with one thing without also dealing with the other.
Right. And that has to start on the streets too, because putting your knee on someone's neck for nearly 8 minutes definitely seems cruel and unusual.
And the news doesn't help. The news doesn't help because right now this trial is going on, and it's a very public trial. And what's happening is every day, because the way that court works and the way that the trial progresses, every day the news is giving us a different perspective, because the defense makes a case, the prosecution makes a case, and one day this side seems stronger, and there's a lot of unrest because there's a lot of uncertainty.
Right.
And it's only being exacerbated because it's being shoved down our throats in the news every day.
You know, and I think the other thing too is we live in this society of TikTok and 10-second, attention spans and 24-hour news spans. Now, for the first time in a while, probably since Jodi Arias, we have, we had the Trump impeachments and shit too, but we have this court case that's spanned out over a long period of time, and people don't know how to devote their attention to something over, because we watch the entire season of Ozark in one day.
Right.
So when it's this up and down, like you're talking about, over this period of time,
we're convinced he's guilty today. We're convinced, they're gonna find him not guilty tomorrow, and then the next day is, they got him now, and then the day after it's, I don't know, the defense made some shaky, but we got him now, and it's this. Like, if you keep watching and you keep getting sucked in, you're part of the the perpetuation, the miserable feeling that you're going to be weighed down by, when unfortunately the healthiest thing for all of us, because none of us can do anything at this point in time until we get a verdict.
Right.
Like, just stop watching.
Yeah.
Don't wait until it's over. Yeah. Wait until it's over. For the results. We've got our visitor has returned. Sleepy visitor has returned. Oh, he's feisty.
That was one of the last things I want to talk about anyway, EK.
We're about to say goodbye.
Is there any final thoughts that you would like, if you were speaking to the entire world at once right now, what would you say?
If I was speaking to the entire world at once, it's easy. My entire world is right here. I'd say create something. Create something that you're going to be proud of. Create something that you'll always be proud of, no matter what. And believe me, you'll be happy every day. Just keep creating. Keep creating something. And
shout-outs, announcements, marketing, promotions, anything like that?
Shout-outs. All the people that create here regularly. Madman, Sean, Courtney, Riss, yourself, the PWO guys, Matt, Pat, Ryan, Ben, Dwight.
All these guys from Golden Mine.
All the guys from Golden Mine, JLD, Take, Brandon, Avery. There's so many people that come and do regular. The Beer Babes drag queens. They keep me working with the DJ work.
Those gals support you a lot.
They're the most caring people and accommodating. As far as DJ gigs go, they always make. Do you need anything to drink? Do you need anything to eat? Like, they're so on top of making sure that I'm comfortable and having a good time. Spencer Devon Brewing. All through COVID, they've kept me fed and working, and they do their trivia, and they still do the drag nights on the first Fridays, and they're real community based, and they love community and local music, and
which is what this is all about.
Yeah. So, and then we've got our banner hanging out back. They're really nice to let us keep our banner out back, and I love those guys. Yeah, I think that's, those are the people I want to shout out. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. There's a lot of really important people that I interact with.
Yeah, Born in Quarantine that was doing stuff here all last year as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
We lost them long box just recently.
Yeah, those guys just moved on. Yeah, they were around for a long time.
There's plenty of Below the Deck podcasts produced by FXBG Public Radio. I mean, a tremendous amount of podcasts that you've helped produce. Yes. Mona, the Dope Dichotomy.
Mona. Mona's phenomenal.
Don't forget Mona. Shri is always over.
Mona takes care of my hair.
Yeah. Some hair done by Mona.
Shri does awesome acoustic sets, once a month. Like I said, so many awesome people, so many beautiful creators that come through.
Becca's been amazing.
Becca dabbles, check her out. She does her podcast, The Sunroom. I believe she did a little intro teaser. I don't know if she's launched the actual episodes yet, but she's definitely put a lot of work into it. So many. I feel like they're gonna keep on coming to me. Like all these people.
Well, I appreciate you, man, because you've always been a good friend to me. First of all, and as far as business and creativity and the studio and everything goes, you've always been a facilitator, a tool, so someone that can help create the vision and make it happen, or teach me how to make it happen my fucking self.
I'm just lucky, and thank you for having me, and thank you for being so accommodating to my ego.
Well, you're important to me, EK. I think you know that, and this everything that you've done for me is so important to my journey, and I don't. It would be a crime if I didn't have you on the podcast, and we didn't have this backlog here. I think I love this. A disservice.
I love this adventure we're all on.
Yeah, man.
And it's been a trip.
It has been a trip. There's been some weird nights here with the projector screens and X-Men and
Legion.
There's been arguments and
stupid
crying
arguments,
sessions. And there's been all sorts of ups and downs here, man.
It's been a good time. It's been a good run.
We both, I help you raise your son a little bit, and he raises us.
He raises us every
Earlier he had this little thing. It's like a fan or something, like almost like you blow up an air mattress with, right? It's a little blue thing. Yeah. He was blowing it on me with, and kept screwing with me, and was asking me, is this annoying you? And I'm like, are you trying to annoy me? And finally he said yes. And I'm like, why are you trying to annoy me? He's like, because I'm trying to help make you forget all your bad memories. And I was like, you know what, dude, you are the coolest. Because at first I was like, why are you annoying me, man?
I'm trying to annoy you to make you forget all your bad memories.
Yeah, and I was like, he's a little hypnotist, and that kid's smart, dude. He's got the most amazing imagination that I've ever met.
Yeah, he's definitely a good one, man.
He's the star. So we're going to get off here. We're done with this podcast. It's time to watch Ghostbusters.
I got to go get that kid in bed and put some Ghostbusters on.
This podcast is brought to you by FXBG Public Radio and the Rec Center. Go support the Rec Center.
Yeah, the Rec Center. There's another one to shout out. It's a great local business that supports local music. They have all kinds of local bands and performers go through there every week. Broadway.
Yep, Broadway.
I don't know. There's so many people.
Broadway and Anthony Fute did the Black Lives Matter
Black Lives Matter podcast. They interviewed gubernatorial candidates here. Next week, Mona's gonna have on Joshua Cole.
I'm not sure. Is that a delegate of some sort?
Yeah, I believe he's a delegate. I love my community. I love the people in my community, and I love Fredericksburg. This is my home. And it's where my son lives, and it's where he was born. It's where he's going to grow up, and I want it to be cool and creative and supportive of creative people.
So we got to surround ourselves with more people like that, guys. FXBG Public Radio on all social media platforms. FXBGPublicRadio.com. You can contact EK. You can come here and do a podcast. You can record stuff. We can do shit on the green screen. I'll be on your podcast, whatever it takes to fucking get you in here. So
yeah, and I'll press buttons and mix and do green screen effects, and I can make you disappear.
Yes. Pay EK $15 an hour to live stream us playing video games.
Yeah. I can do that too. You want a game stream? I got you. I got all the consoles.
All the things.
We'll do it.
So many things.
Thank you.
Thank you, bud. What fun.
I'm gonna Just come over
It's
here.
the Sleepcast. It's time to make cookies.
Time to bake the cookies.
Guten Nacht.